This is VOD Recaps. In the initial tableau of our narrative, the viewer is transported to Spain, now a landscape of turmoil and despair. Europe is in the throes of a severe crisis, a maelstrom of chaos and deprivation born from the iron grip of a tyrannical regime. This government, ominously dubbed Not Enough for All, has risen as a draconian response to the crisis, imposing measures of unspeakable cruelty. In a desperate bid to control the situation, they resort to the unthinkable, the systematic extermination of the elderly, soon escalating to include pregnant women and children. Amidst this backdrop of horror, several nations, notably Ireland, Iceland, and Norway, stand as beacons of resistance against such brutality. Consequently, these lands become the coveted sanctuaries for those seeking escape from the oppressive Spanish regime. Yet the path to these havens is fraught with peril, and legal avenues are virtually non-existent, compelling many to turn to the shadowy world of illegal escape routes. Within this maelstrom, we are introduced to Nico and Mia, a married couple ensnared in this desperate struggle for freedom. Determined to flee Spain, they engage in a perilous transaction, bribing a human trafficker to facilitate their escape to a local harbor. Their journey is one of stealth and danger, navigating through a labyrinth of shipping containers, evading the ever-watchful eyes of the authorities and their patrolling helicopters. Their path intersects with another smuggler, whose demand for additional payment forces them to relinquish their most precious possessions, their wedding rings, in exchange for passage aboard a truck bound for the port. Nico's strategy is clear: to seek asylum in Ireland aboard a cargo vessel. As they huddle inside the truck, Nico and Mia find themselves amidst a silent congregation of fellow escapees, each absorbed in their own world of fear and hope. Among them are pregnant women like Mia and families clinging to each other in silent desperation. In a poignant moment, Nico offers Mia a piece of chocolate, a small token to be savored later in celebration of their anticipated rescue. Mia's response, tinged with both humor and sorrow, reflects the gravity of their situation. Their conversation reveals a heart-wrenching backstory: the tragic loss of their firstborn daughter, a casualty of the military's ruthless actions. Dawn brings a sudden halt to their journey and a chaotic upheaval. As the truck becomes overcrowded with new arrivals, the smugglers' cold command to divide the group leads to a tense standoff, culminating in Nico and Mia's forced separation. Amidst the turmoil, they manage a brief, reassuring phone conversation, clinging to the hope of reunion at their shared destination. The narrative then shifts to Mia's perspective as she witnesses the unfolding brutality of the regime against the backdrop of public protests. Her glimpse through a container hole reveals a harrowing scene of violence and abduction. The journey takes a more ominous turn at a military checkpoint, where the discovery of a secret compartment in their container leads to a tragic outcome. In a desperate bid for survival, Mia conceals herself, her silence a shield against the chaos unfolding around her. The story reaches a climactic moment as Mia, now aboard a ship, attempts to reconnect with Nico, only to be met with silence. As she succumbs to exhaustion, the narrative takes a dramatic turn. Mia awakens to a tumultuous sea storm, her cries for help lost amidst the chaos. The container, her temporary refuge, becomes a prison, tossing her mercilessly as the storm rages on. In a final, harrowing moment, a violent jolt renders her unconscious, leaving her fate and that of Nico shrouded in uncertainty. In the subsequent chapter of our tale, we find Mia awakening to a dire predicament. Water is infiltrating her container sanctuary through small apertures. Her confusion mounts as she peers through one such opening, only to behold a chilling sight: neighboring containers slowly succumbing to the depths. Panic grips her as she attempts to contact Nico, but to her dismay, her phone is rendered inoperative. Fortune, however, presents a glimmer of hope in the form of a forgotten bag containing a functional phone. Alas, the device is locked, its passcode unknown to her. As water steadily invades her space, Mia frantically searches the crates around her, uncovering an assortment of items, from mundane electronics to clothing and spirits. Donning a hoodie for warmth, she discovers yellow tape, which she resourcefully employs to stem the water's ingress. Amidst perusing her photo diary, a cacophony of distant screams pierces the air. Through the container's aperture, a harrowing scene unfolds. Nico's container, now a sinking tomb. This realization strikes Mia with a paralyzing terror, her voice echoing in vain as she calls out for her husband. Desperation leads her to insert her SIM card into the newfound phone, but connectivity eludes her. Overwhelmed by grief, she succumbs to tears, witnessing the tragic descent of the containers. In the throes of mourning, Mia's discovery of a penknife leads her to the brink of despair. Yet, in this moment of profound darkness, the stirrings of her unborn child serve as a beacon of hope, steering her away from the precipice of self-harm. Resolved to endure for the sake of her child, she lies down, tears streaming yet determined. Dawn reveals the tape's failure to hold back the water, prompting Mia to improvise once more. Leveraging her surroundings, she uncovers more plastic boxes within a crate. Initially a source of frustration, but soon recognized as a means to reinforce her barrier against the water. Resourcefully, she employs a pipe to expel the accumulated water and meticulously plans the use of her dwindling supplies. 2 days later, a call from an unknown number pierces the silence. It's Nico, miraculously alive yet stranded. Mia shares her own plight of being adrift at sea, a revelation that stirs concern in Nico, who vows to devise a plan for their reunion. As night falls, another tempest tests Mia's resolve, further complicated by the onset of labor pains. Amidst the tumultuous rocking of the container and escalating pain, she endures the unthinkable, giving birth to a daughter unaided and in the most precarious of circumstances. In the aftermath, Mia shelters herself and her newborn within a crate, weathering the storm. Come morning, she cleans the space and improvises diapers from hoodies. Despite her nurturing efforts, the infant struggles to feed and is inconsolable. In a moment of inspiration, Mia attempts to create an opening in the ceiling using a drill. But the noise distresses the baby further, forcing her to cease. Evening brings a small reprieve as Mia is able to nurse her child. However, hunger soon overwhelms her, leading to the consumption of her entire food supply. The following day, her efforts to breach the ceiling continue, but exhaustion and the drill's depleted battery hinder her progress. Resorting to a penknife, she perseveres until sheer fatigue overtakes her. The stifling heat and dwindling air supply within the container exacerbate their plight, prompting Mia to use seawater-soaked cloth to alleviate her child's discomfort. As time wears on, their situation grows increasingly dire, with hunger becoming an unrelenting torment. In a moment of desperate survival, Mia makes a harrowing decision to consume her own placenta. As night envelops them, the eerie calls of whales resonate through the darkness. An unexpected collision with a whale jostles the container, startling the baby into cries. In a bid to deter the creature, Mia resolutely strikes the container walls with a wooden panel, her actions echoing in the vast, unforgiving sea. On the 6th day of her harrowing ordeal within the confines of the container, Mia resumes her arduous task of creating an escape route through the ceiling. Tragically, her only tool, a penknife, succumbs to the strain and breaks. Compounding her dire situation, her phone remains inoperative and her supply of potable water is depleted. In a desperate bid for hydration, she resorts to licking droplets of water from the ceiling, an act that provides little relief. As the hours pass, the strain of her predicament manifests in haunting hallucinations. She envisions her elder daughter, accusing her of abandonment, a vision that is both poignant and distressing. However, in this mirage of despair, an apparition of Nico appears, offering words of reassurance and absolving Mia of guilt. Emerging from this semi-conscious state, Mia is greeted by the sound of rain. Seizing the opportunity, she hastily arranges plastic boxes to collect the precious rainwater, quenching her thirst with the life-giving liquid. With renewed determination, she uses the crate ropes to pry open a section of the container's metal wall, finally revealing the vast expanse of sky above. Climbing out of her metallic prison, she breathes in the fresh air, a moment of respite in her relentless struggle for survival. She brings her daughter into the open, allowing the infant to experience the freshness of the outside world. However, the relief is short-lived as Mia realizes their isolation. An endless sea stretches in every direction, with no land in sight. In a routine act of care, Mia changes her baby's diaper and discards the soiled one into the sea. This act inadvertently attracts fish, sparking a glimmer of hope for sustenance. With improvised ingenuity, she fashions a makeshift fishing tool, but her efforts to catch the elusive fish prove futile. After numerous attempts, she reluctantly abandons the endeavor. Her attention is then captured by an airplane soaring overhead. In a frantic effort to signal the aircraft, she rushes to retrieve a piece of a TV screen, intending to use its reflective surface to catch the sunlight. However, in her haste, she injures her leg on the sharp edge of the hatch. To her dismay, the airplane passes by, oblivious to her plight. In the following scene, Mia, with remarkable resilience, stitches her wound using TV wires and metal fragments. The excruciating pain of this self-administered procedure causes her to lose consciousness intermittently, but she perseveres, completing the task. As night falls, she begins the meticulous work of weaving earphone wires together. By dawn, her efforts yield a makeshift fishing net, which she successfully employs to catch fish. After enduring a prolonged period of hunger, Mia savors the raw fish, a small victory in her battle for survival. From that day forward, she diligently catches fish, storing them in plastic boxes for sustenance. In addition to her survival efforts, Mia crafts SOS messages, encasing them in plastic boxes and releasing them into the sea, a beacon of hope for rescue. One night, sharing family photographs with her daughter, whom she names Noah, Mia engages in a tender conversation with the infant before they both succumb to sleep. At midnight, a sound jolts Mia awake. Carrying her baby, she climbs atop the container, only to discover a floating plastic box. Simultaneously, she receives a call from Nico. A moment of joy quickly overshadowed by tragic news. Nico reveals his failed escape attempt and ensuing injury, conveying his imminent demise and urging Mia to persevere for their daughter. Heartbroken, Mia shares the news of Noah's birth, and Nico bids a final, poignant farewell before succumbing to his injuries. Overwhelmed by grief, Mia spends the night gazing skyward, lost in sorrow. The narrative fast-forwards to day 26, revealing the container partially submerged. Determined, Mia constructs a makeshift raft atop the container, her baby by her side. The sight of a seagull rekindles a flicker of hope for rescue. As night descends, Mia finalizes her raft preparations. However, a sudden noise from within the container signals its imminent sinking. Diving back into the container to retrieve her belongings, Mia spots the chocolate given by her husband, now floating in a corner. As she swims towards it, her leg becomes entangled in ropes. The container begins its descent into the depths, and in a frantic struggle, Mia manages to sever the ropes and swims upwards, narrowly escaping a watery grave. As Mia breaks the surface of the water, a wave of panic washes over her when she fails to spot her infant. In a serendipitous moment, a passing whale sprays water onto the baby, eliciting a cry that guides Mia to her daughter, Noah. The following morning finds Mia in a state of utter exhaustion. In a desperate attempt to signal for help, she releases the fish she had caught, hoping to attract birds. As she speaks to Noah, acknowledging her exhaustive efforts for survival, a fishing boat is nearby, casting its nets. Aboard, a fisherman and his family notice a seagull circling something peculiar in the water. Drawn by curiosity, they navigate closer, only to discover a raft with a child aboard. They hastily pull the raft onto their boat and, in doing so, notice a rope attached to it. Tugging on the rope, they are met with a startling revelation. Mia's body emerges from the depths. The rescue team swiftly brings her aboard and commences life-saving measures. Despite initial unresponsiveness, the relentless chest compressions miraculously revive Mia. Regaining consciousness, Mia's first and foremost concern is for her baby. The fisherman's wife tenderly hands Noah to her, a moment of profound relief and realization for Mia. It takes a moment for the reality to sink in. She is safe. Overwhelmed with emotion, tears well up in her eyes as the boat approaches the shores of Ireland, a beacon of hope and safety. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.